Hey, this is William Tincup and Ryan Leary. You are listening and hopefully watching the You Should Know podcast. Ryan, how you doing today?
I am wonderful.
You
You like
are
that
wonderful.
answer?
I do. You know, it's a Friday, Ryan.
It is.
Kind of feels like Saturday. I'm just going to be honest with you about this.
Yeah.
All right. So we got David Lane from Indeed on today.
We do.
David, how are you
Great
doing?
to be here.
All righty.
I'm doing wonderful. Yeah.
We'll check that at the end of the show and check back on you if you still feel wonderful. So our topic, we love Indeed. We have a lot of podcasts with Indeed executives, and so we've talked about a lot of different things, which is cool. And this one in particular is Job Seeker Reality, Career Scout, and all the different AI tools that y'all have built that are for candidates, etc. I think we'll focus on the candidate-centric stuff mostly for this call because y'all have some new stuff there. So, David, if you don't mind, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we'll jump right in.
So I'm David Lane. I am responsible for what we call the job seeker journey. I lead product management as a VP of product management. So that means we prioritize the work of all the teams in Indeed trying to build great software on behalf of job seekers. So.
That's nice. Do you think that you can be over both? Like, is there a way that I don't have an answer, by the way, but can someone represent the interest of both the employer and the candidate?
We have to, absolutely. I mean, we are a two-sided marketplace, and all of it, even though my title is Job Seeker Journey, like everything we do has to be responsible and make sense for the employer side of the business. So, like, if we did things that like flooded the market with too many, job seeker applications, that would be a terrible outcome for employers, but also for job seekers, right? They would get ghosted and ignored and things like that. And so, we do a lot to try to, serve all of our customer needs.
So it's good. So
It's all got a map. It's all got a map to we when you were asking them that, William, I just thought about, we've talked about this. And David, I always ask the question, does HR represent the employee or does HR represent the employer?
Right.
And I thought that's where you were going with this. You're going to put them on the spot right away. Question.
No. It's really, no, he explained it really well.
Yeah.
He's thinking about the candidate first, but then it's got to make sense for the employer or it can't go forward. So there's a basic, you can have a thesis for the idea. Yeah. And then again, like, this is a great idea up until it's not a great idea because it flies in the face of being great for the employer. So
I mean, our mission at Indeed very clearly is we help people get jobs, right? So that's foremost. We are sort of a job seeker first environment, but being job seeker first means we have to manage the outcomes and we have to make sure that it's also in the interest of our employers or they won't bring the jobs. So it's a really tight balance and it's super interesting to manage. So.
Yeah. So David, I'll start off by I'm just going to put the big question out there. We're talking about the job seeker reality. We'll get into Career Scout and some of the tech. What is the reality of the job seeker today? What are they looking at?
Yeah. So it's a really interesting market, one that we haven't seen in a while. I mean, certainly what we'll see, and I'll just give you a couple points, like job growth is slowing. Our quit rates from companies are down. Search duration for employees from companies is growing. So people are taking longer to find jobs. I think it's really about our employers are more discerning than ever. And our job seekers are people who are working at companies are holding on to their jobs a little bit longer. And so there's a lot of trends going on there. And then at the sort of macro level, we've got a bunch of competing trends. We've got aging population coming out of the workforce. We've got AI playing a big role in automating a bunch of roles. We've got tighter immigration policies. And so there's a bunch of competing forces that are kind of playing on this job market right now. So it's a challenging one. And
most of it's negative. I mean, like, you go back to 2008, and that was a not so fun time for all involved. And this is different because of not just the macroeconomics, but also policy. Like, Ryan and I were discussing the H-1B policy right now. Of like, well, this is 20 years ago. I had an employment attorney and I sponsored probably almost 40 H-1Bs. Simple process. Like I had a good lawyer, so there's that. But the process was, where are they from? South Africa? Okay, here's what we have to do with South Africa. Like, and so there's a pathway. Now
Yeah.
it just seems like, you're charging $100,000 just to start the process. So what employer can pony that up? Or if they push that to the employee, how does that happen, etc. And oh, by the way, that's just to start the process.
Yeah.
That's not a guarantee.
Totally.
And like you said, immigration. Again, we weren't dealing necessarily with that policy as much as we are now. So I think it's harder actually than
Yeah.
2008.
And it's also even,
yeah, go ahead.
you could extend it to higher education as well, right? It's harder for immigrants to come and join our, these higher ed institutions. It is important. Like, despite all these factors, our overall like job postings are still higher than they were pre-pandemic level. And so it's definitely weakening, and the job growth is slowing, and it's stalling, but it's still somewhat healthy. And we're just kind of on this moment right now that is really challenging.
So you mentioned the quit rate, and we haven't really spoken about that, at least in those terms.
Yeah.
Where are we at today in the quit rate versus, say, last year or the year before? How much?
I'm gonna call it
different is it?
hunker down and not get shot.
Yeah, like, are people holding on to the job for dear life and saying, you know what, I'm just going to be really unhappy at my job right now for the next 12 months until I know something better is out there? Is that where we are?
Well, I certainly hope not, but it's definitely lower than it was a year ago, and I think
Yeah.
it's going to continue that way for a while, right? There is anxiety in the market right now, right?
100%.
There, like, some of the hardest hit groups are some of like our white collar workers. That would be like tech, HR, marketing, remote workers, young people entering the market. Those are like some really difficult moments for those groups, because AI is playing a huge factor on what's happening. And so if you're in those spaces, yeah, it feels uncomfortable to jump. And my goodness, like, what a difference it was from in those sectors, say 2.5 or 3 years ago, when it was like the movement, everybody was quitting, right? And so it's just changed so much in the last 3 years.
Ryan and I just talked about on our news show. I've been thinking about what AI, where they're gobbling up jobs, and in my head, not sitting on the data that y'all have, so I don't have that benefit. But I've kind of had the theory that this is entry level work. So the stuff that's repetitive, like a BDR position. Why would you ever hire a BDR going forward? There's AI for that, right? But the report that we read was that middle managers are getting squished.
Yeah.
The organization's flattening. And that was the first time I'd actually considered middle managers actually being, and Ryan actually had a concept of like independent contributors managing more AI, managing a team of AI. And so there's really no need for middle managers if the individual contributors doing that. I thought that was actually a pretty good strategy or idea of why that's happening. But do you see any of that type of stuff? Do you, like where it's
I do, and
eating jobs?
I mean, so certainly the entry level is affected for the reasons you outlined. It's just there are some of these jobs that can be automated that used to be kind of mundane, like running spreadsheets or, doing analysis, and anything that's sort of like text-based of reading of things that needs to be synthesized is like, well served by AI. But the idea about middle managers, it depends on the industry, obviously. Like, in tech, I've been in tech for 25 years now. I certainly see it, and we are expecting in product management and in engineering to leverage a variety of tools to make us more efficient. And it's kind of, as a manager, it does, these tools do help you scale, like whether it's writing performance reviews or writing concepts and ideas or prototyping things. Like, you can do way more, way faster at every step of the sort of product lifecycle stage in software. And so I certainly see that happening. But again, it depends on what industry you're in for sure.
Yeah, one of the so David, one of the stories that we were going through, this is a couple weeks back now, was that the entry level jobs, a lot of them are still there. They're just being filled by those that have already graduated. Well, actually, let me reverse that a little bit. This was a story about high schoolers and like first time job seekers, so 16, 17, 18-year olds, 19-year olds not being able to find jobs for their first or second job because those that are just graduating from college or university can't find the typical entry level jobs. So
Right.
they're coming down market and getting those initial first jobs, which is blocking the, 16, 17, 18, 19-year olds from getting their first job. And that's where
Yeah.
we are in terms, because that layer of I just graduated college and here's my first job, the spreadsheet analysis and analysts and people like
Yeah.
that are now being automated.
Yeah, and I don't have a great answer. I mean, I hear exactly what you're saying, and I can imagine that's a um, a phenomenon that is happening, right? Companies value experience right now, and
Right.
it's challenging. I mean, always entry level is always a hit or miss of how much we want to educate someone and bring them along and train them versus somebody who's more experienced. And if more experienced people who are in jobs can kind of do more because of the tools we just talked about, like I can see it totally happening that way.
So the things that you're developing for candidates, let's get into that a little bit. The products, the AI products that you are developing. Where do you start to explain this to us or the audience? It's like, what are you building for candidates?
Yeah, so we at Indeed are like extremely excited and very proud to introduce like a new suite of products we're calling Career Scout. And this is
Cool.
Imagine it as a bunch of AI tools that'll help job seekers across their job seeker journey. And things it does are kind of nuanced job search, finding jobs and discovering jobs. And I can talk a little bit about that in a minute, but also things like helping you build your resume, helping you tailor a resume to a job that you're applying to. It also does things like just basic career advice. How do I get from career A to career B? Or what do I need to study or credentialize myself in to get up in my own career? And it covers an enormous amount of careers to give that advice. Also things like company research. And then one of the coolest ones that I love, like my kind of like quiet favorite, I can't say that because I have a team working on this stuff, is this.
I love all my children.
Interview. Is interview practice. Yeah, exactly. So interview practice, like you can pull up your phone and then like have like a mock interview, and then we'll kind of like score you on your like halting speech patterns or, brevity and, how well you answered like relative to the question and things like that. And it's like super powerful and kind of fun. And like we're getting great feedback from that. So anyway, long way of saying we have like a great suite of tools and we're just getting started here. So.
And all of that, and I love that because all of this makes sense. And I feel like the outside of job boards being job boards from the traditional job boards that we know, job seekers haven't had anything to truly help them. I mean, they've had things, but they haven't had like great things like doing mock interviews and stuff like that with real-time feedback is amazing. And those are things I just did one with, I was telling William about it earlier. I just used ChatGPT, put on the voice version of it. And I said, hey, I want to run through a mock interview for whatever. And I went through, I was showing my wife and I recorded it. I'm like, this is really good. Like it paused me and said, hey, next time let's focus on this. Let's work on the tonality like this. I'm like, ah, damn.
Yeah.
Like, where was this 30 years ago when I was looking for a job? Like, I don't
right. Like I went to graduate school, and I think like most of the time we spent like practicing interviews. Like that was the whole purpose of it.
We did.
Yeah.
And we leaned heavily back then. I went to graduate school. The MBA that I did this even more so than the other masters. But it was like the Career Center was the center of all the universe because they were the ones that had the relationships with the employers, but also they're the ones they cared about getting you a job so that they could get that percentage up to then attract new candidates. So,
totally.
mock interviews, my God, every day, and it
Yeah,
was
sitting across, and,
yeah, yeah,
awkward conversation.
yeah, and I'm an esoteric person, so like I don't answer things like normal people do, and I don't make eye contact. So like I'm the worst, and so they try to kind of keep correcting me back to this norm, and I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
I trust, and David, I'm sure you're hoping this if you don't already know it, but I would trust as a candidate, I would trust going through your mock interviews from an AI
me
perspective
too, me
than I
too,
would another human sitting in front of me.
100%.
Yeah.
Both
Yeah,
will
it's
have a little
disarming, right?
bite.
Like,
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Dave. Sorry.
yeah, no, it's just like super disarming if you just can do a like private moment with yourself. Like I will tell you, like there are moments in my life when I was interviewing for things where I would literally record my own voice into my like voicemail just so I could play it back and be like, oh,
Yeah.
that sounds
Yeah,
weird. And that's
yeah.
not
Yeah.
well thought through. And this just, automates all that and it takes a little bit of the awkwardness out of it. So it's great.
I think so. The Gen Z, both of us, Ryan and I both have kids that are Gen Z and Gen Alpha, would prefer to interact with technology. I think this is some of the stuff you were saying, Ryan, than humans.
Oh yeah.
Like
I'd
it's just
rather
be,
at this point.
yeah, me too. Count me in on that bit. So maybe it's not generational, but it's just like I trust the AI giving me objective feedback more than a human, because all
And
humans have some type of bias or preference or something like that.
yeah, and that's kind of it as well. Like, you guys have been in this industry and around these industries, like applying like machine learning, for years, better outcomes kind of resulted. And now we're in this AI world, which is, a natural extension of machine learning, like better outcomes can happen. So like one of the things we're like super excited about with this product is like we could create better outcomes or have better outcomes for those job seekers and ultimately employers too. But so
So
we're
what do you,
optimistic.
well, if this is a skunk works deal, what's next for the candidate outside of what you've already built? I'm sure there's a huge lift, but what are you already thinking about outside of flying cars? What what are you thinking about like
Yeah.
for that career journey? What's
Yeah,
next?
I mean, there's a lot.
Ish.
There is a lot. Yeah, and we're like I said, we're just getting started. Like,
Yeah.
what we've stood up here is like a really nuanced understanding of the job seeker. So, like, if your goals are, I need a job that's close to home, or working these hours, or I have this special circumstance that I need to take care of, you can actually explain that to the AI in a way that you could never do with search in the
Right.
past. And so we're at that frontier, right? Um, and you mentioned that you had a nice interview experience with ChatGPT, but um, our kind of experience takes that style of AI from these AI engines and marries it with
Yeah.
everything we know about the job seeker already, and everything we know about
Right.
all job seekers, and everything we know about the job, and everything we know about all jobs in general. And so we have this like wealth of knowledge combining the two that again hopefully comes to better outcomes. And then if you sort of ask me like where in the future we're going, like I think the next wave is, you guys have heard of agentic things and stuff like that, but we want to deliver on the promise of Indeed is working all the time behind the scenes on your behalf, like helping you with your career, helping you along, helping you find jobs, helping you apply to jobs, and taking some of what is a very challenging thing for job seekers and very sometimes tedious and laborious and disheartening at times, and trying to make that easier. And so that's the type of thing we're looking at right now.
Oftentimes, I'm assuming oftentimes when job seekers come to you, they're not at their best, right? Like they're without a job or they're unhappy at a job.
Interesting.
They need a job. And so you're now providing them with a plethora of tools, a suite of tools that say, hey, we care, right? We're here to help you and get you into your next career, your next move, so you can pay your mortgage and pay your kids' food bill. And that's a tough time. That's a tough time. And so bridging that gap to the employer world obviously makes sense. I mean, it's just you're the resource for that. Question I have though is about the data or the information that you're getting from these interviews. Now, I don't know anything about like if you're holding that information, if you're studying that information, but let's say you're doing, I don't know, 1 million mock interviews a month with your
Yeah.
job seekers. how do employers benefit from that? How can you use that information to make that better, that training better, that mock interview better? And then how do you relay that to the employer so they can hire better for it?
Yeah. And it's a great thing. So, like, just to answer your question directly, like for interview practice, that is a conversation with Indeed and with yourself. That is not related to the employer. And just to broaden that out, like we have a lot of information that a job seeker would tell to Indeed that they don't want to go to their employer. The very nature of like job searching, like I don't want my current employer knowing that I'm job searching, you know,
Fair.
but also things like their preferences. Like, if I tell Indeed, like I'm looking to make, $40 an hour, and I previously was making $30 an hour. Well, that's a negotiated position. I don't want that relayed to the employer. And so we have this moment where we separate out what preferences are shared with Indeed and what is part of your public profile. Like you do want them to know that you are qualified and you have a variety of skills. And so we take that very seriously, data privacy very seriously, and like creating this separation of the types of data that we're collecting. So,
David, I want you to kill an idea that Ryan and I are playing with. The idea is that basically we think voice as the interface is the future of all applications, be it web or apps on your phone. The candidate has Indeed's candidate application, whatever it's called. It'd probably be named Zeus or something like that. Yeah. And it just asks questions of Zeus. This is what I'm looking like. They're just literally, they're on their walk, they're doing yoga, they're doing whatever, and they're just talking. And the Olivia or Zeus or whatever it's called is obviously they're capturing data, doing all that stuff, but there's no form fills. There's none of that stuff that we've historically grown up with. It's capturing that data and putting it into a system and making a match on the back end because you're a two-sided marketplace, as you said. But we're not doing what we've done historically by doing inputs. The inputs are here. And so the Zeus can ask us questions like, hey, optimally, what hourly rate do you want to be at? What are you currently at? How much do you commute? Do you care? This, that, and the other. Like the Zeus can ask me that question. I can answer that question. And so the interface, Brian and I believe across all of HR tech, work tech, recruit tech, whatever, this is the future of interface. It's not we download the app and then we, log in and do some blah, 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 whatever. No, we're just talking to Zeus. And Zeus is capturing all the information. Now, you can call it whatever you want to. I just called it Zeus.
Don't name it Zeus.
Yeah. Name it Einstein. Go high, baby.
Humble and flying.
I think that's great.
Kill this idea for us because we're doubling down on it conversationally with each other because we think that's the way that things are going to play out, but we don't know. Come on.
I mean, I don't know if I can kill it because I think your hypothesis is strong. Like, I mean, when you have that experience with any AI where you're sort of talking and it's immediately responding and, giving you data and kind of encouragement and other types of suggestions and things like that, it's super delightful. And so like I can 100% see that would be the direction that this moves into. And it also, if you've ever interviewed for a job, and I'm sure you guys have, like some of those earlier conversations with, are kind of, maybe really good candidates to automate and just get out of the way. And so that actually we can create more human to human connections at a deeper level. And so that question about what salary or what you've been doing for the last year or whatever it is, you can sort of answer it once, and even AI might be able to answer that on your behalf to any would-be employer and things like that. So just kind of take some of the tedious elements out. But I agree, the conversational is going to be a huge part of this. So
it's interesting because it can be the process can be more personal and remember what we don't remember. Because so historically we'll ask candidates like, what are your hobbies? What are you into when you're not working, 70 hours a week, whatever? Like, what are you into?
Yeah.
Or, conversations come up that are within the legal bounds of conversations you can have with candidates. which again, AI would know all the rules. And so if someone brings up church or religion or any of the things that are no-nos in interviews, it would say, yeah, can't answer that. We really can't go down that rabbit hole. It's illegal. Blah blah blah. But it's like hobbies is one that recruiters, they're not. It's not a protected thing. You can actually talk to people about their hobbies,
Yeah.
but we forget what their hobbies are. Like a great example of this is like, what do you want to learn, man? What are you into? I want to learn Java. I want to learn this, whatever the bit is. Well, the recruiter remembers that, but after you've gotten to a certain point, it's no longer there. And so this could actually be carried forward into the employee journey. It's like, hey, I remember you wanted to learn more about Java, right? Connect to training, development, etc.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I mean, I don't know if you've had these experiences where you've like gone through like 4 or 5 interviews for the same company and the questions are familiar or similar, same, because,
Right.
they don't really connect the dots on their end. And so like you can really vault people through and make it a much more rich discussion for a single person.
You can actually make it more human, more personal because you have that data. And you don't forget. Sure. It's like an elephant. You have a great memory. Ryan, did I interrupt you? I'm sorry.
No, but as you're talking, I was thinking, so David, we recorded an episode for our upcoming news show for this week. And one of the companies that I talked about was Sonic Jobs. And so, excuse me, so they won Pitch Fest at HR Tech. And so essentially what it does is similar, William, to what you're talking about was, I don't know if it's voice because I haven't seen it yet, but it allows the user to complete the application right then and there on the page. It never redirects them. It fills out the information based on what they say and tell it. And then if it needs to, it prompts them back and says, hey, we need to be better here. We need to go different here, go deeper. And it's already doing stuff like that. And I just see, I mean, William, I'm with you. I just see such a big opportunity, especially on a platform like Indeed, to have.
Oh my God, you're sitting on all that data.
Yeah, and these candidates, the amount of coaching that can come back to the candidates.
Good point.
Is priceless on this. Like everything you guys are doing,
I think that sets you apart. Actually,
yeah, it
way
is
apart.
Yeah. People can talk about Indeed and complain, do whatever they want to do. Like Indeed is Indeed, but the job seeker side of where Indeed focuses on the job seeker getting people jobs. I mean, you guys just have an immense amount of information and data that can it's not comparable.
So they know the companies and the company's bid. So they got a lot of historical data. And then they've got the job data. Like they had job description and all that type of stuff. It's like, listen, they really emphasized so-and-so. Be honest, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 with that? Like they could ask with AI.
Yeah.
Zeus. I'm getting back to Zeus for a second.
Zeus can. It's true. I don't know why it bothers me. Zeus. I don't know.
You don't like Greek mythology?
Well, I guess not.
Hate. A lot of hate in your heart. Anyhow, so, but the thing is, it can prompt based on the company and the values and things like that, and also on the job, which I think it gives you a significant advantage.
Yeah, even redirect them to a different job.
Totally. But and also just like on your point, like imagine a world where this happens all the time. An employer posts a job and they think these are my requirements, and then they get whatever 10 or 12 candidates or some number, and they're like, oh, I wish I had asked this. They can just deploy their agent to be like, go find out the answer to this from those 12 candidates. And you get here's where the gymnastics in your brain go a little wild. It's like, well, the job seeker agent, Career Scout, can just answer that on behalf. So it doesn't actually have to bother the job seeker potentially, right? Or if it does have to bother, it can just reach out and ask the question. But it's like, it creates a liquidity in the information flow that is going to be super powerful over time.
Which is a great experience for the candidate to get a little ping and says, hey, they want to know, do you know this, or at what level do you know this, or do you have experience with this, or whatever questions that they needed to any additional kind of depth around. What candidate doesn't want to hear that? I mean, you'd be right. You're going to get a little ping, and it's like they want to know more about you. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, one of the loneliest moments for a job seeker is this thing we call ghosting, right? Like they just don't hear back. And it is so disheartening. But we think with AI, we can start to bridge some of those gaps and just sort of say like, not only like make sure that they're sort of the most qualified for the jobs that they're applying for, with our tailored resume, like they're putting their best foot forward for the job they're applying for, but also, these agents starting to work on behalf, they'll start to hear back and understand a little bit more about, oh yeah, I didn't have, so they asked me that, I wasn't able to answer it, or it was, and my candidacy either improved or not. But at least they get information, right? Right now it's just blank, and this will really help with that.
I see that getting more technical and deeper with not just knockout question type stuff, but deeper in the sense of you're applying for an AI developer position and you've answered the question, but they want to know more. They want more like deeper into like, what do you actually know? Like, what have you done, et cetera, or provide an example, like that type stuff. So they can really zero in on what you've done. Cause this is always, especially in tech, it's always been problematic. You worked in Java for 10 years. Did you work on one project and went 10 years deep into one project? Or did you work on 400 projects an inch deep? And understanding the three-dimensionality of what your experience is has always been a problem. But with AI, asking those probative questions like, hey, you said you did Python, a couple of years ago. Tell us a little more about that. Like, what'd you like about it? What'd you not like about it? Give me an example of how you used it, blah, blah, blah. It can do all that automatically.
Yeah. What that allows is it allows us not to have specialized tech recruiters or specialized healthcare recruiter. You could be a really strong people person, conversationalist, and be a recruiter because you know how to facilitate a conversation and facilitate movement from application on through, because the AI is going to do that digging. David, I want to go back real quick to the ghosting. You brought up, letting candidates knowing where they are in the process. And another thing, this is probably off topic, but another thing kind of want to throw out there and get your reaction on. I have this working theory that the Domino's Pizza app would be fantastic in recruiting. I don't know if you've ever ordered from Domino's
or FedEx or Amazon.
Or used their, like it is such a pleasurable experience. The pizza may not be amazing, but it's pleasurable to use the app because I know when it was received, it's now being made, who's making it, where they're at in the it's put under the heat lamp. You can now leave your house and get there because you're only 5 minutes away. If we can do that for recruiting, I just feel like that would be amazing to do.
AI is going to help with that.
Totally. Yeah, it's got to help with that. And yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Domino's, that experience, I mean, shout out to those guys. They do a tremendous job to make like universally understood as like a great app, right? Like, and it's a great experience. And I would hope that we could, achieve something along those lines. But I totally agree. Like, just having the information again takes that like loneliness out of the whole like subject, right? Your mind goes to strange places if you just don't hear back, right? Like, and you don't know if it's just because there's a lot of candidates or if you're not qualified or you spelled something wrong or, and getting that information and like, as you say, like the pizza cooking through the oven and through delivery would be really cool.
It's fascinating, David. You used the word ghosting earlier, and I'd always used ghosting in the sense of not showing up to an interview, either party. Not showing up to an interview as ghosting, but you used it in the sense of not hearing back, which is it encompasses a bit more, right? Non-communication, however that happens in the interview or in the application phase, basically at any phase. And it's both parties, let's be honest. I mean, it's applicants as well as employers. So I thought, first of all, I just wanted to give you a compliment because it expands that definition in my mind, which I like. Last question for me is, if we're having this interview a year from now, what are we talking about?
Yeah. So we have a lot of ideas in the hopper right now, and it's, I think it's a little bit along the lines of what, First off, it's going to be Zoo. And second of all, no, we are going to,
It will not be called.
expand on the suite of tools and agents that we are delivering on, expanding on our ability to do company research at the job level, trying to get better and better at matching. Matching is at the core of what we're doing, matching that job seeker's nuanced intent with the job. So that's all going to happen. And then you're going to see the emergence of agents working in the background on behalf of these job seekers and employers on both sides of the marketplace. And with this stuff coming together, we actually think we can help with time to hire. We can help reduce ghosting. We can help reduce some of the tedious aspects of applying for jobs and automate all that work. And so it's going to be super exciting. 6 months from now, a year from now, and it's moving really fast.
David, this has been really a great conversation. Very insightful, actually, conversation.
Wow, you sound surprised.
No, because we don't get to say that often.
That's some hateful shit, dude.
No,
you've been a lot smarter than we thought.
Well, when you got on, you didn't look very smart.
Dude.
Yeah. I was like, Jesus Christ, how we got to talk to this guy? No, we don't get that many. We when we talk, sometimes like we want to talk about a topic, and it's like they don't. It's just not exciting after a minute.
You're
like,
just digging the hole deeper and deeper.
No. This is good. Stop that, David. Don't listen to it.
All right, so I'm one of the best guests ever. I get it.
100%. Exactly.
And you want to have me back on in the future?
That's what I heard. Yeah,
we'd be fools not to.